What's going on, everybody? It's Tommy with Story Collective, and you're listening to the Live a Cool Story podcast, where we get to chat with people from all over the world and hear their stories. We tell stories that need to be heard so that you can be inspired and motivated to live a cool story. Parker, thanks for being here today, man.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So this is Parker Walbeck. Parker Walbeck's an awesome dude. I was a student in his course, Full-Time Filmmaker, and that was a huge catalyst for me becoming a filmmaker, and really learned a lot through that. So I'm really excited to talk to him today. This is quite an honor. So Parker, I guess I already introduced you a little bit, but I guess tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah. So I'm 33 years old. I have a wife and 3 kids. We are from northern Utah, Draper Sandy area. Both my wife and I went to Alta High School, and now we live in St. George. We escaped the winter weather, came down to a warmer spot, and living the life here with a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So we're very busy at home, all the while trying to continue to run multiple businesses, a couple charity organizations, and serve in local capacities at church and whatnot. So we're busy, but we're fulfilled, we're happy, and yeah, that's a little intro.
Very cool. St. George, there's a lot of rock climbing in St. George, yeah?
There is. I wouldn't know much about it because I don't rock climb, but my brother does, and he'll tell you all the best spots.
Well, that's been on my list. I've heard of St. George, and so I know you.
Oh yeah, there's great spots. Where are you from? Where are you at?
I'm in the northern Idaho area.
Okay, cool. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. So what do you do, Parker?
I do video production for a living, and I teach it online. I have a course called Full-Time Filmmaker. We have almost 30,000 students now from around the globe, and that's where most of my time goes, is creating YouTube videos, tutorials for my online course. And yeah, I love educating. I love teaching. Video's always been a hobby / passion of mine, and I was able to turn it into a career. I'm very grateful for that. And now I teach it, and have found that I'm actually more passionate about educating and helping other people start careers and businesses.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear more about that, because I was kind of in the same boat. It was always a hobby for myself, and then turned into a career, which is always best case scenario. So one last kind of icebreaker question: What do you like to do for fun? What makes you come alive?
I love basketball. I love sports in general. I golf, but basketball is my go-to. I play twice a week with some older dudes, but I'm getting older too now, so I can't call them too much older than me. But yeah, that's my favorite exercise. I mean, I used to watch it a lot, but don't have as much time anymore to watch ball. But I love playing, and yeah, I'm a sports junkie. Love playing sports.
Yeah. So how's your March Madness bracket doing right now?
Terrible. Arizona went out in the first round, and that was it for me.
I think everybody's bracket is kind of struggling this year. It's been fun.
It's been fun though.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Well, let's get into it. Yeah, Parker, just go into your story. I want to hear about how you got into filmmaking. I want to hear the kind of steps that you took to grow it and make it as successful as it is today, and just things you learned along the way, and things that you think might be inspiring to our listeners. So yeah, just go for it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I started video. Well, I discovered I wanted to do video back in high school. I was a student body officer, and the student body officer who was in charge of doing all the videos wasn't doing our inauguration video. And so I stepped in and just started doing it. And I've discovered, man, this is fun. I really like this. It was my senior year of high school that I finally found what I wanted to learn about. And I was already done with high school, right? And so I wish, that's one thing I'll tell people, is I wish, if you're getting into video and stuff, I wish I would have taken Adobe classes, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, all that stuff, because, man, I could really use that knowledge now, and I didn't really learn anything in high school worth any value. So that was kind of sad for me to learn something I wanted to study at the end of high school. So anyway, I discovered I loved it. Then I went on a mission to Montevideo, Uruguay for my church, and loved my mission, learned how to serve, learned a lot of, that's honestly where I root a lot of my business success in, was having almost like a boot camp is what the mission was having to learn time management, having to learn how to wake up early, having to learn how to communicate with people on a daily basis, learning how to serve, learning how to diagnose pain points. And so, and selling the gospel, that's a hard thing to sell. People don't want to hear about Jesus. And so if I could sell Jesus, man, I could sell just about anything. And so that's where I learned a lot of go serve a mission, man. That you want to be a millionaire, go serve a mission. Doesn't translate perfectly, but really the base foundation of my business success was the core principles I learned as a missionary. So served a mission, loved it. And then I came home and just kept applying the same principles I learned to dating, to schooling, to my work efforts, my career paths. And I just found that I was a lot more successful after my mission than I was before, applying these newly developed habits. And about 2 years after coming back from my mission, age 23, I was going to school during that time for communications. I dabbled in a few different areas. I've never been good at school and didn't really love the schooling system. I just didn't learn well in it. And after about 2 years of doing that, went to UVU for a couple of years. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try video. And everyone told me you can't make money in video. At this time, 2010, 2011, it was kind of true. It was hard. People didn't know you could make money on YouTube then. And it was brand new. And so, I was told I was a fool for even considering video as a career. But I said, I want to try it. And I stumbled across a guy named Devin Supertramp who was doing it for a living on YouTube. He's one of the first YouTubers to really make a career out of video. And I just got inspired by what he was doing. And I just dropped everything and said, I'm going to buy a camera. I'm going to just start learning. So using YouTube, using Devin's tutorials, I just started picking up a camera and going for it, and just taking any opportunity I could get to learn, and meet local music videos, wedding videos, anything that people would let me film to learn. And about 6 months into just trying it out, this is a whole different story, but I was able to connect with Devin. He needed help on a shoot. I went and helped him for a weekend, and I just offered myself to him. I said, look, I recognize you're doing this on your own. I'd love to come edit for free. I'd love to come shoot your behind the scenes. And this is a huge principle that I teach my students, is to add value first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I approach my relationship with Devin. Is I said, look, I just want to add value to your life. I want to make your life easier. I want to help your business. I'll do it for free. I call this principle free to fee. And it's a law of reciprocity. When you add value to somebody else, that value will always come back in some form or another. And it did. So I worked for free for about 2 to 3 months for him, to the point where I had no money, and I was almost had to the point where I had to sell my camera gear, and this isn't working. But Devin offered me a job to work for him full time, just as I was at the breaking point. And so I'd added enough value where he said, I can't live without this guy. I need him on my staff. So he hired me on. I then traveled the world with Devin Supertramp, over 30 countries, in about 3 year span. Had all these amazing experiences working with brands like Ford, Mountain Dew, all these big name brands, shooting commercials for their products, and just gained a ton of experience. Devin was a huge mentor to me, to helping me learn the ropes in video. And after about 2.5 years of working with Devin, I proposed to him the idea, hey, we have a lot of people who want to learn from us. Let's make a course. And so we actually started making a course with Devin. But after we did it for a while, he's like, I'm not really into this. I like what we're already doing. And so we just had different passions and ideas of what we wanted to do. So I was at a point where I'm like, well, I've kind of hit a ceiling working with you, and I kind of want to go this direction. So we split ways, and I started my own video production company, and then started building what is now Full-Time Filmmaker on my own. And about 9 months after quitting working for Devon, 9 months it took me to build the first 40, 50 videos of Full-Time Filmmaker. And the day I launched Full-Time Filmmaker, I had $500 to my name. I was in debt to be able to loan myself a computer, to be able to edit those tutorials. Like I'd gone all out to try and start this business. And that's something a lot of people don't see is the sacrifice and upfront work that it takes to build anything successful. They see now, oh, he's got 2 million subscribers and he makes lots of money. But they don't see those first years where you just grind and sacrifice. You work for free for Devon for months, pulling all-nighters just to prove yourself. And then once you get that job, you quit and start your own thing and then go a whole year without making enough money to survive and risking it all on the line. And not to mention, I got married the month that I quit working for Devon. So I'm unemployed going into my marriage and like, how am I going to provide for this new family I'm starting? But we launched it, and the day we launched, I went from $500 in my account to, I think that first week we did around $100,000 in sales. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like there's a demand here. People actually want this, and this could actually work, And so I then little by little kept building that, started learning. And that's another big thing is just the principle of being willing to continually learn and grow. Never feeling like, oh, I've learned enough. That's the whole reason I got out of the 9-to-5 business and become my own boss is because I want to be able to grow infinitely. I want to progress as far as I want to push myself. And working for somebody else, you're always going to be a little bit limited. There's certain businesses out there, and there's some businesses out there that will provide those. But I'd say, I know that the better growth opportunities are always going to happen when you're your own boss. That's not for everyone's personality, and that's fine. But definitely put yourself in an environment where you're able to grow and push yourself and continue learning and growing. That's just what's going to bring the most fulfillment.
Yeah, no matter what position you're in, whether you're the owner or an employee or just whatever, in every aspect of life, being coachable, that's where growth happens. Because if you're not coachable, then you've hit a ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's partially your external environment, and it's also your internal motivation and dedication to, be teachable and be willing to learn and grow. But once I launched Full-Time Filmmaker, I kind of, I got that initial launch money, but that was just to my followers. And then I had to figure out, okay, how do I market this to the world? I knew nothing about Facebook ads, YouTube ads. I didn't really have a very big YouTube channel at the time. And so I had to learn and develop new skills. I had to learn how to do Facebook ads, which anyone who's done that knows it's like learning a new language. But it's like, okay, well, do you want this business to succeed worldwide or don't you? Well, then you better bunker down and spend 6 months learning a new skill. And so that's what I did with Full-Time Filmmaker. It was just learning new skill after new skill. And here's another principle I teach a lot, which is just being willing to pivot. Like you're not going to succeed every step you take. Like you're going to fail a lot. And, this is kind of a cliche. It's like you got to fail a lot in order to succeed. But I don't think people understand what that means. It means you continually try to do things that you have no idea how to do. I call it fake it till you make it. But it's just the principle of confidence. Like have a little bit of confidence in yourself that despite the fact that, in the beginning, I'd never picked up a camera, just have confidence to approach a friend and say, hey, I'm going to shoot a music video for you, or I'm going to shoot this wedding video for you. I remember my sister-in-law coming to me at one point when she was getting into video, and she said, my friend just asked me to film her wedding. What should I say? And her mom, who was like, oh, don't ruin this wedding, said, you are not going to shoot that wedding. You are going to mess it up. And my response to her was, you can and you will shoot that wedding. But it's just this idea of have a little bit of confidence in yourself. Like you may have never shot a wedding and you may not know how to, but why don't you take the next week or two before that wedding and practice and go learn and get yourself in a position, go buy a course, get yourself in a position where you're prepared for it. and then have the confidence to know that I'm not going to do this perfectly, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to take the opportunity and I'm going to learn and grow. And by taking that step, that acting in faith of just like step into the darkness, who knows what's going to happen here? Yeah, you're going to do some things wrong, but you're only going to learn what you're going to do wrong when you do those things wrong. And then you'll learn from them and say, okay, now I know next time not to do that. Now, your second wedding, you're much more confident because you already have that experience of what you did well, what you didn't do well. And then every wedding you take after that, you get more and more confident. But the confidence doesn't come unless you act in confidence before you've obtained any confidence. And so it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I call that a bet on yourself mentality. And that's not going into things like ignorantly or like really having
No.
no clue what you're doing, but just like having the confidence to bet on yourself and understanding that every mistake and failure um, is actually a step towards success.
Yeah. And I sorry, I lost my train of thought.
All good, man.
I had an example I was going to, anyway. So yeah, confidence to me was a huge part of, I feel like what's made my businesses succeed is just I, I just naturally have a lot of faith in myself. It's just one of the gifts I've been blessed with by God. And that's a blessing and a curse to be overly confident can also ruin you. But as long as it's kept in check, like, it can push you really far. But when people ask me, so how do you be successful? What's made you successful in business? And I always point to two main things: is I'm more confident than most people are in themselves, and I just work harder than most people. So work ethic, again, that's where I learned that in my mission, just learning how to work hard, just do things that are hard and suck. That's just something that a lot of people aren't willing to do. We live kind of in an age of softness and things are convenient and easy, and we expect our work to be easy. And if you want to be hyper successful, work isn't going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And I've just learned to love to work hard. And not only has it led to success, but it also leads to tremendous fulfillment and joy. Like, there's just a sense of accomplishment you get out of putting your shoulder down and just working hard. And so those are probably the two things that I would attribute my success to. And I would tell people, if you're just willing to have a little bit of faith in yourself, to do things that you don't feel adequately qualified to do, but just start stepping in the dark and trying. And once you do try, do it to the best of your ability and push through the moments that are just tough and hard. And if you do those two things, you're going to be highly successful at pretty much anything you do in life.
Absolutely. And like you said too, being willing to pivot. So
Yeah.
trying things, and some things might not work out. So have the humility and the confidence to be able to pivot and try something else. I think that's huge.
Yeah, before I got into video, I wanted to do music. I wanted to do audio production. So before I bought a camera, and that before I met Devin and all that during high school or college, I was trying to figure out life, what I want to be when I grow up. I wanted to first do music. And so I spent a few months making some music, and then we got a camera and started filming music videos. So that's where the video came in, was we were just trying to make videos for this music we were making. And I realized real quick that I'm not actually that good at the music stuff, but this video stuff I have a pretty good knack for. And so I pivoted. It's like, even though I was more passionate at that time about music than I was about video, I recognized, and here's a quote you hear a lot, is do what you're passionate about. And I would tweak that and say, do what you're passionate about meets what you're actually good at. And to take it one step further, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and then find a need in the marketplace. Find, with my passion and with something I'm good at, once those come together, now how can I use that to solve problems, to make other people's lives better, to create a solution out there that people need? And so that's kind of where I ended up, was like, first it was music. Okay, now it's video. And then with video, it was like, okay, well, I'm good at video and I'm passionate about it. But now, and obviously you can make money within video, but then I realized, but there's a big need for education in video, and I'm actually pretty good at educating. And so then I create this solution to a problem of there's not a lot of good education there on how to start a video career as a freelance videographer. And so just having that mentality of, looking for these questions you get, problems you see in life, look at those as opportunities of things to solve and to improve the world, instead of complaining about it and saying, oh, I hate that the education system is so expensive and so bad and teachers aren't great and there's not enough video production education out there. Instead of just sitting there complaining about it, be the change that you want to see, create a solution to it. And when you do that, you'll find that there's a lot of money. It's actually very lucrative to, get off your butt of complaining and then just work hard on building solutions for the world. And, not only will you benefit the world, but you'll fill your pockets in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and that applies to life too, going into anything with the mindset of like, what can I offer rather than like, how can this give back to me? And I like what you were talking about, like when you're in high school, trying to figure out what you wanted to be when you grew up. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately, because with myself too, I really struggled with that in high school. Like I didn't realize I wanted to get into video until like a couple years into marriage, and like I was still like outside of high school searching, and there was so much pressure on us to figure out what you want to do when you grow up so you can go to college and whatever. And there was so much pressure, and it really bogged me down. But I think a better question to ask is not what do you want to do, but who do you want to be?
Yeah,
And I think that will help. That's a much more guiding question. And that way you can, no matter what you go into, I mean, there's thousands of careers out there that you could be great at. But no matter what you go into, whether it's career or life or whatever, asking better questions. Who do I want to be? How can I give back? Another podcast we had a little ways back, we were talking about the word motivation, and how motivation is great, but you're not always going to be motivated when you wake up. There's a lot of mornings I wake up, I don't want to work out, I don't feel like opening up my computer to work, I'm not motivated. But the answer is discipline, rather than being motivated, having a lot of discipline. But you can really only have discipline when you have that why as your North Star. Because otherwise you're just being disciplined for the sake of being disciplined.
Yeah. And you're not going to stick to that. No one wants to be disciplined if there's no reason to be disciplined,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool, man. And you kind of answered my next question, but I'm going to ask it anyways, is if you had a mission statement for your life, what would it be? Our mission statement that's kind of the why, that's why you're doing what you're doing. That's your North Star. So like, what's your mission?
Never thought about a mission statement.
I mean, because you have a mission statement for your business and everything, but like for your personal life, I think it's really important for you personally to have a mission statement.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it a mission statement, but the ultimate goal for me is more religious than anything. Again, built on that foundation of serving a mission for my church. But to me, my whole goal and point of existence is to become more like my Creator, to become like God. For those who are Christian, to become like Jesus Christ, to follow Him and be a disciple of His. And because personally, I believe Jesus Christ was the best example of what a successful life looks like, which is having healthy relationship with your friends, with your family, learning how to treat people well, learning how to be in control of your own body, allowing your spirit to be in control of your body, having that self-discipline, self-mastery. To me, he taught all the principles that encapsulate what a successful and happy and fulfilling life looks like. And so I don't necessarily have a mission statement to nail that down to, but the idea is that as we become more like our Creator, the person who built our bodies and built this earth, when we follow His instruction manual, when we follow His plan He's laid out for us, He can just make a lot more out of us than we can. And not only will we have a much more happy, fulfilling life in this life, but in my belief, we will have an eternal life of happiness after this. And so, and with that mission statement, it's, I mean, I just have felt so incredibly blessed and happy in my life. It almost seems unfair. Like my wife and I lay in bed at night just thinking, why have we been so blessed? Why is our life so good? But people in the Philippines, that's where my wife served her mission, are starving to death and just living in the slums, sleeping in their own filth. Why was I given all of this, all of these blessings and this tremendous life? And it's just recognizing, first of all, that it's all God-given. It's nothing that we do, but just principles that we choose to live that lead to that success that God teaches us. But then turning around, once you've figured out, okay, here's some of the principles of success to life, being willing to not just sit comfortably in those and say, this is really nice, I'm very happy, and so I'm now going to go buy myself lots of boats and houses and just enjoy this for the rest of my life. And most very successful business owners do this, like recognize, pay attention to, the Elon Musks of the world, even I'm sure you notice that they spend money on yachts and trips to space and garbage that's unimportant, but they also spend a lot of their time and money trying to solve problems in the world and give back and share those blessings that they've built up and have been given with the rest of the world. And so that's kind of where my wife are at right now in our lives, is like, oh man, like, we're not billionaires, but we've been given more than we could possibly know what to do with. And so let's now give back. Let's now, start some charity organizations and figure out how can we share the blessing we've been given with the rest of the world. And that's the purpose of life right there, right? Is making the world a better place around you, not just soaking it all up for yourself, but once you've been blessed, to then look outward and bless others,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's powerful, man. Love it. Well, cool, dude. I think that's a great way to end it there. I really
Cool.
appreciate you sharing all that. That's really fun and powerful, and it's really cool to get a glimpse into your story. And I hope that this inspires and motivates others to just live a more full life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if there's, I feel sad when I see people who are living beneath their privileges. And we're kind of being fed right now on social media by politicians, by society in general. It's trying to feed us this idea that we're, especially in America, I mean, everyone has different circumstances, but we live in the most prosperous time in human history. And in America, we live in the most prosperous country with more opportunities than any other country. And for us to sit here and self-loathe and say, woe is me because of this, this, and this, like, look, we all got our issues and problems and challenges we have to face in life. But focus on the opportunity and focus on your potential and opportunity and ability to become literally anything you want to become. That's just, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of your upbringing. My father-in-law grew up in the slums of California, and to a mother who, was a single mom who would sleep around to make money. And I mean, it was just the worst upbringing you possibly think of. Got kicked out of his house at like age 15, 16. And now he's living in a wealthy neighborhood in Draper, Utah, with this beautiful posterity of amazing children and grandchildren who are living prosperous lives because he made a decision and said, I'm not going to be defined by my circumstances. I'm not going to fall victim to victimhood and say, because of my upbringing, because of my situations in life, I can't succeed. I can't be more than what I've been handed in life. Instead, he broke out of that pattern, and it was grueling. It was hard for him to break out of it, but he did, and he made the most out of life, and he made an incredible life for himself. And so, yes, we all have different levels of privilege, but the opportunity right now in this country and in most of the world is equal. We all have that opportunity to become whatever we set our minds to. And so that's my biggest message to people is just, sky's the limit. Become whatever you want to become. It's going to take some confidence. It's going to take some hard work. It's going to take some self-discipline, but apply yourself, man, and just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't limit yourself. Set the bar high. In fact, don't even set the bar. Just
Yeah, just keep going. Yeah.
that's right. I ought to have your father-in-law on this podcast. He sounds like he has a
Oh
great
man,
story.
he's got an amazing story. Yeah, you really should.
That's awesome. Well, hey Parker, where can people find you? What's your YouTube? What's your Instagram?
Yeah, Parker Walbeck. It's just my name. That's the YouTube channel and Instagram page. And yeah, it's that's I also have a full-time filmmaker as the Instagram handle. I honestly don't post much on my personal Instagram page. All my business stuff's a full-time filmmaker on that Instagram page. All my